Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into an absolutely charming piece of source material about a tiny hero who frankly makes a massive impact. At first glance, it really just reads like a simple tale, but when we actually break it down, it reveals this fascinating, deeply resonant narrative about potential, bravery, and self-acceptance. Because the whole thing really revolves around one central question. Can a small toy do big things? It's a classic question of scale versus impact, right? We so often condition ourselves to believe that monumental tasks require these monumental figures. But is that actually true? Okay, let's dive into this and see exactly how our protagonist, a little red car named Leo, answers this question for us through pure action.
Section 1. A Dream Beyond the Shop.
If we look at this through the lens of a classic hero's journey, we always start in the ordinary world. And for a small red toy car like Leo, that reality is just the confined, static environment of a giant toy shop. But contrast that with Leo's dream. He wants a real adventure. He's literally looking through this glass barrier at a vast, wide-open world outside the shop window. It's a really beautiful way to establish that dramatic tension between his physical limitations as a tiny toy and his massive, ambitious aspirations. So how exactly does our inciting incident happen? Well, it's a perfect storm of events. First, human error creates an opening. The shop owner simply forgets to lock the door. Second, nature intervenes with a soft wind blowing that door wide open. And third, well, Leo takes action. He doesn't hesitate for a second. He just starts his little engine and rolls right out over the threshold into the beautiful, quiet street. The adventure has officially begun.
Moving on to Section 2, Meeting the Lonely Companion. Now this is the exact moment where Leo's fun solo escape suddenly transforms into a high-stakes rescue mission. Out there on the open road, he encounters Max, and Max is a puppy who is lonely, lost, and crying. This is such a brilliant narrative pivot. Up until this point, Leo was just, a toy exploring the world. But now confronted with real-world distress, his character is truly put to the test. He wanted a real adventure, and boom, the universe immediately provides him with real-world stakes.
Leo's response is immediate. He says, "Don't worry, friend, jump in." And this brilliantly illustrates his absolute bravery. Think about it. There is zero hesitation here. He doesn't stop to calculate the sheer weight difference between a tiny toy car and a real-life puppy. He doesn't second-guess his capabilities. He just steps up and willingly takes on this massive responsibility. And with a huge smile, Max sits right in the toy car. Just like that, they become an official unit of two. The solo adventurer and the lost puppy are now bound together by one singular vital mission, and that's finding Max's home. Which brings us to Section 3, Navigating the Giant World. Our tiny heroes are completely out of the safe zone now, entering what we'd call the classic road of trials. They face massive, real-world obstacles. Let's actually map out the precise sequence of their journey, just to get a sense of that continuous forward momentum. So, minute 1, leaving the shop. By minute 5, they are crossing a vast, big green park. Around minute 10, they're passing under a glowing streetlight for guidance. And by minute 15, they are actively escaping a silly, sleeping cat. That is an incredible amount of ground for a toy to cover. Let's playfully look a little closer at these obstacles. Navigating the big green park is essentially like crossing a vast, dangerous wilderness for them. Passing the glowing streetlight keeps them on track. But step 3, escaping the silly sleeping cat, this is honestly my favorite detail. Because remember the scale here? To a tiny toy car, a sleeping cat isn't just a pet, it is literally a massive high-stakes boss battle, right? One wrong move, one loud rev of his engine, and the whole mission fails. So how exactly does Leo survive these trials? His driving strategy is simple. He drives small, but very fast and very carefully. He perfectly compensates for his lack of physical size with pure speed and precision. He's using the exact attributes he has at his disposal to keep his much larger companion completely safe. And that leads us to our final part, Section 4, Small Size, Big Impact. This is where the physical mission concludes and the really deep, universal lesson is fully realized. They finally arrive at a house with a red door, Max's home. Max's family is, of course, incredibly thrilled to see him. But notice the specific actions here. They hug Max and they thank Leo. The human family directly acknowledges the tiny toy car. His massive contribution is fully validated by the real world.
So, the crucial point is what Leo internalizes from this whole ordeal, which is really the ultimate takeaway for us. Let's call it the big truck complex. This is that false belief that one must be massive or perfectly equipped to achieve significant things. This is the exact psychological hurdle that this whole story unpacks and dismantles for us. Just look at the visual contrast in these mindsets. On one hand, we have this idea of needing to be a big truck, but Leo realizes you absolutely don't need to be a big truck to do big things. It's a total rejection of the idea that physical size equals impact. Instead, what does he do? He proudly embraces being the happiest little toy car in the world. It's an incredibly empowering takeaway, honestly. It tells us you don't need to change who you are or wait until you're somehow bigger to make a profoundly positive impact on someone else's life. I want to end this explainer with a provocative question drawn directly from Leo's revelation. What big truck are you waiting to become before you start your own mission? Really think about that. What artificial requirement are you waiting for before you finally step out the door? Because Leo didn't wait. When that door opened, he just started his engine and rolled out. Thank you so much for joining us, and I really hope this story inspires you to stop waiting and start driving.